Hi, my name is Mary Giuliano, and my guest today is Shirly Ashmore. Shirley, were you born in Fernie?
Yes, I was.
Because I wasn't sure if you were or not.
Yes, I was.
And who were your parents?
John Strong and Margaret Strong.
Strong or
Yeah,
Strong?
Strong, S-T-R-O-N-G. Yeah.
Ah.
There's none around right now. No.
Were you an only child?
No. There was 5 of us. I was the youngest.
And the rest all moved away?
They did. Yeah.
But you stayed here?
Well, I went away for my education and
Right.
I came back and I always liked Fernie. It was always I liked the mountains and the winters and just the whole atmosphere here. So I always made.
So are your parents buried in the old cemetery?
Yes, they are. Yeah.
In the old cemetery?
Yeah, and I have a sister there.
Yeah?
That's married. Yeah.
That's really quite interesting because I haven't talked to anybody that has anybody buried there, usually just on the, in the newer section.
Well, I don't know if it's called the newer or the older. What's the older?
Well, the older is the part that you see first, that,
Where the wet vets are and that?
yeah.
Yeah,
mhm,
they're
yeah,
buried.
and up on top,
Mm-hmm.
that have all the nice
Yeah.
concrete and,
Mm-hmm.
it's really actually a beautiful,
Some of those tombs are
yeah.
lovely, yeah.
really lovely.
Yeah. They had a bit of vandalism up there one time and they knocked some of the stones down, but. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, a great group headed by Len Cossack and his wife and Patrick Burke did a lot of work up there,
Mhm.
and it's looking really pretty darn
Yeah.
good now.
Yeah.
So, that was your last name?
Yeah.
I never knew that.
No, well, when I come back,
So where did you go?
I went to Lethbridge and then I went to the University of Saskatchewan for a year. And then I come back. And then I worked as a nurse.
So you went away to be trained as a nurse?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because that's what I've always known you as, a nurse.
Yeah.
And you worked a long time.
I did work a long time. I remember a lot of the older people. I remember your mother very well.
Do you?
Yeah. She was quite a regal woman. I don't know what she did in Italy.
My mother married my dad when she was 17.
What was she? I always thought maybe she was into tailoring and that.
Oh, she did know how to sew, and she knew how to knit, and she could make anything.
Yeah.
I never inherited any of those talents from her. My younger sister, Rose, can do knitting and crocheting and all that handiwork.
Mhm.
But yeah, Mum married very young.
I remember her. I remember her being sick.
Yeah, she was sick for 18 years.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she was only here alive from Italy, I think 21 years.
Yeah.
And 18 of those she was really, really ill.
Yeah.
Yeah, with ulcerative colitis.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
they had those famous enemas they gave for it.
Oh, she used to talk about how painful everything was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really traumatic for our family when she
Well,
passed
yeah,
away.
yeah.
She just had her 49th birthday.
Well, I think I remember certain deaths because it was traumatic for me because they were young and you hated to see somebody young die. It just was acceptable, but it happens.
Yeah.
And
My sister wasn't quite 19, the youngest one, because I'm the oldest of the 4. There's another sister almost 3 years younger than I, and a brother 5 years younger, and then this sister who was 9 years younger. And she was almost 19, and I remember that it was in the old hospital where the Park Place is,
Right.
And she was in the room that had 4 beds, and she was on the bed right next to the doorway.
The 3rd floor.
On the
That's
3rd
right.
floor.
Yeah, I remember.
And I recall that there were so many visitors that my dad and my sister went out into the hallway.
Mhm.
But my brother and I were there, and I didn't know until last year, actually, that my brother was there on the other side. I thought I was the only one. So I was on one side, and I'll never forget the way my mother was lying back with her eyes closed because she'd been in a coma. But suddenly she opened her eyes, she jumped up, she looked at everybody like this, looked at me in the eyes because I was at the far end, fell back, and I was holding her hand, and I felt it go limp, and I said, "She's dead." And I remember saying to somebody, go call the doctor. And they went out, and then I heard this scream that was so loud, and it was my young sister who let out this really horrible scream. And then the priest came and the doctor came and they said, yeah, she's gone. Yeah, that was really traumatic, because my mother used to be afraid of, she was always afraid of not being dead and finding herself in the morgue. And so she would always say to me all those years that she was sick, she would say, you make sure I'm dead. And so of course, you know, they cleared the room, and they, I said to the nurse, whoever was there on duty, I'm going to stay with my mother and I'm going to go with her at the morgue and I'm going to stay with her all night. And she didn't say anything, but then she came back and she goes, I don't think you can do that, dear. And I said, well, at least I'm going to stay here then for an hour. And so I stayed by her for an hour, and then I took her stuff when they were taking her and went home. But it was a very traumatic event.
Well, yeah, youth and death is traumatic to everybody that's around it. Even if you're a nurse, it's traumatic. Because you feel like you failed, but I mean, we can't do anything about it. But
yeah, exactly.
It's not very comfortable.
Yeah, and that's the part, you know, I mean, you being a nurse all those years, there must have been so many times.
Oh, yeah, and I think the toughest one when you saw somebody that was fairly young that had families and responsibilities and, you know, it affected you, yeah.
I think the only happy things were the births.
Yeah.
Seeing all those beautiful
and there was
babies.
too many of those.
Do you remember the baby that was born that was 15 pounds from lady from the South Country?
No, I don't.
I had my little baby, and I think my baby was like 7 pounds, 5 ounces or something, and I thought she was like a really good size. But this beautiful, beautiful baby boy was like this.
Yeah.
You know, he was like a 5-month-old.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. It's
No.
just a beautiful big baby.
I'm inclined to remember the premies more than
Yeah.
anybody that was healthy. Yeah.
What was it like coming back to Fernie and going to work? Because where did you work first? At what hospital?
Saskatoon University.
Yes, but then when you came to Fernie,
I worked, well, where the Park Place Lodge is.
because that was the hospital that was.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was the Memorial Hospital. Now that hospital was built just after the war. So I think it might have been opened around 48. I was a child at the time when they were building it. Yeah, and
It seems to me I read a record that it was in the 40s.
yeah,
definitely.
it was the Memorial Hospital. Yeah, I think it was about 39 beds. Or in the end, when Westar came in, we had beds all over the hall, and we finally got a new hospital.
Yeah,
And I think that one opened in
74.
Yeah.
Because my mother never got to go in it.
Yeah, 74, 75, yeah. And that was a 62-bed hospital. And it was really an upgrade from what the hospital there was. I mean, it was what it is at that time, but when I think back on nursing, one of our jobs was to make sure the taps were turned on at night so the pipes didn't freeze.
No kidding.
Yeah, I mean...
Did you have to do any cleaning?
No,
No
we didn't
cleaning.
clean.
Okay.
But it was just something that you have to, you know. I remember Fernie BC, if you didn't have those taps running and the pipes froze, you were frowned upon in a hurry. But, you know, the pipes are on the inside. Probably the architects were from Vancouver, and they put the pipe waters in the outside walls. Well, they don't realize what Fernie's like, or was, you know. But it was all part of, you just sort of went along with it, and you'd make your rounds and make sure that all the taps were running.
You were single when you first started working as a nurse, were you not?
Yeah.
So, after you got married, was there any stigma to you being married? Because I remember with the teachers,
No, there was nothing.
there was a time when teachers, if you got married, that was it.
No, you couldn't marry in training, but once you finished, you could. It was all up to you, but in training, you couldn't be married.
So what brought you back to Fernie then.
Well, I suppose Wilford, and I liked Fernie. My mom lived here. My dad had died by now, but yeah. So I don't know. I like the atmosphere. I like the mountains. I like the climate.
How did you and your husband meet?
Well, we were young kids growing up.
So you knew each other from
We knew
childhood?
each other, but we didn't really associate with one another. You know, he was very athletic and always doing different things, and I probably was, you know, not athletic, but enjoyed little things.
Wasn't his mother Mary?
Yeah.
So she was married twice then?
Yes, she was.
Because I'm trying to remember what her name was.
Mary Kimmick.
Kimmick, yes.
But
I think about her
Wilford's,
now.
Wilford's was with Days Ashmore. That's why his father was, yeah. Yeah, and he worked in the mines. I think he was president one time of the union, actually, of the mines. But I don't know too much because I think it was when Wilford was 13 or around there, you know.
Did he pass away in the mine?
Yeah, he was hit with a bump, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay. That was quite the times, because that happened,
Yeah.
you know, quite a bit.
My family wasn't associated with mining, we were associated with lumber, but yeah, it was.
You certainly heard about it when things happened.
Well, I think the people in town said they knew when there was a bump at Coal Creek, they could feel it or hear it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I wasn't really, when I was young, associated with it. Yeah.
Did Wilford have any siblings?
Who?
Your husband, Wilford. Did he have any siblings?
No.
No? So he was an only child.
Well, he had a brother, but he died when he was 11.
Ah.
So he was the only one that Mary had, yeah.
Yeah, Mary, I really liked Mary. I remember her, she used to make the midnight lunch for those New Year's Eve parties that the kinsmen used to hold at the community center. And we were young, we used to go to all those, and she used to put out this beautiful, huge spread. I don't know how she did it, because she usually worked by herself.
Well, she usually had well, there was a couple around Fernie that helped her.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Yeah, she...
Well, she had it tough because, you know, her husband was killed and she was left with Wilford to raise. So it wasn't an easy life for her.
No.
But she did well, and she worked. She was just one of those people that could survive. Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked her. I liked Mary.
Yeah.
What was it like working in that hospital over there?
Well, it was fun. I mean, when I look back as things changed, and certainly the space age had a lot to do with change in healthcare. But you know, it was more hands-on nursing. That's what we did. You know, it was, and after the space age, it became more technical. And even to this day, it's getting more technical all the time. You know, it's the way it's going. But then it was mostly hands-on when you were a nurse. Like,
do you think that because it was more hands-on, that people felt more reassured in a way? And because I read an article once that said how even the touch of a hand is healing.
Yeah. I think we understood people better because, you know, we had to bath them and that, and when you're doing that, they're always talking to you, so you grew to know where they were coming from, which, with the technical side of it, they don't have time for that. You know, everything has to be done, you know, with sort of the technical things that are available. Where we had to go in and try and understand the patient, and then we used to come out and if we found something out that they didn't want to talk about, we'd tell the doctor so that they could deal with it.
Right.
Yeah.
So in a way, I think people got better care then
Well,
than
I mean,
they do now with all this new stuff.
Well, but this is the way of the world. It's the same in everything, isn't it? I mean, nobody takes time to listen.
Yeah.
I think listening skills are gone, but
Yeah, we're just going to take a little break.
are hard because they don't have time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because they're always on the go.
Yeah, or
And they've got all
devising some technical thing, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that technology has made it easier, but yet it's made it more impersonal.
Yeah, because you don't know the history. Now
Yeah.
you just come,
Yeah.
you know, but when you had the hands on, you,
Did you know nurses that had worked in the hospital that is now an apartment block on 4th, behind the nurses' residence building?
I think maybe Nellie Dunlop, I don't know for sure. Maybe Nellie and, I can't think of any other nurse that worked there. I think, well, in mind, I was only a child then too.
Mhm.
I remember as a child, I had a sister that was sick, and you couldn't visit, children couldn't go in the hospital. So they used to take a ladder and let me climb up the ladder and wave to my sister, you
Oh,
know?
yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you ever talk to Mrs. East, who had great memories of that hospital?
Mary, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, but I guess she did. I don't know if she ever worked there, but,
She didn't really work there, but she said that because I did several stories on her, and she told me that in the fall, when it was harvest time, she would go with nurses door to door and ask for whatever they could give them for vegetables and fruits that they could use to make meals for the people that were in the hospital, because they didn't have
yeah.
any budgets for food, and so she said it was really tough, but she said people were really pretty good. They would give you whatever they could,
Yeah.
whatever they had, you know, preserves and vegetables and baking, and they would use that. And Dr. Reese said that it was really hard taking patients up to the 3rd floor, because you had to go by stairs because there was no elevator.
Yeah.
So it was really quite hard
Yeah,
back in the day.
yeah.
I wondered if you had any stories like
No,
that.
I had nothing other than climbing the ladder to wave at my sister because nobody could visit.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Having lived here all your life, almost,
Yeah.
what are some of the changes that you've noticed?
Well, you know, change sneaks on too fast, and you don't really realize it at the time. But looking back, well, you know, the city's much busier. I mean, I remember when they used to deliver milk with bug in the doors.
25 cents a
Yeah,
glass,
yeah.
a bottle.
And the plowing, well, they didn't have big plows like they got now. I mean, it's just a trail down the street. I mean, you went to school, you had to find your way over the snowbanks. I mean, you couldn't expect people to plow it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember that the snow, you know, it seemed like the snow on the side was like up to 15 feet high.
Yeah, well, but they didn't have the equipment. It's
Yeah.
like everything else. All of a sudden, you got all this equipment, and
Which part of Fernie did you live in?
right close to the hospital, actually, on
On 6th?
Fifth, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and it'd be the 700 block, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you would be walking
Yeah,
to school, the
Yeah.
same one that everybody went to.
yeah. And I remember the Catholic school was this way, and the public school was that way.
Mhm.
And of course, I think there was always a little bit of competition between, you know, how kids are.
Of course.
Yeah, and I always remember the kids, you know, going opposite way from me. But yeah, quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing that nobody's mentioned is the Catholic school.
Oh yeah, it was. Now I don't know when it closed. I know the kids
it was
used to
in
be
the
transferred.
50s, late 50s, when
Yeah,
after Coal Creek shut down.
was it?
Yeah.
Because I remember the kids used to transfer in grade 8 to the public school.
To the public school, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember, you know, you sort of got to know them then.
I always went to the public school.
Yeah. They had their nuns in the convent, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. We did used to go to catechism in the summer.
Yeah.
So all summer you ended up going to catechism, and those nuns were pretty forceful ladies.
Yeah. Because I was Catholic, I didn't know the clergyman or anything that
Mhm.
well. I mean, I knew I knew Father Barnes and Father
Right.
Cheevers, and you know, But, yeah. No, so that's changed too.
What did Wilford do?
The Wilford worked at McDonald's Consolidated.
Oh,
One
that's
was
right.
a warehouse, yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
That was
Uh-huh.
across from what is called 901 now,
Yeah.
which used to be the school.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, I do remember him being there now.
And that closed down, I don't know what year that closed down, you know?
In the 80s?
Uh,
70s?
It would be, no, I think it would be in the 70s, Mary.
70s, yeah.
Because, yeah, they moved everything into Calgary in Lethbridge.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden they closed it down.
Yeah,
There was a lot of services here at one time that
there was.
have gone.
Yeah.
You know, like we used to have Williams Moving and Storage, where the livery building is now.
Yeah.
And we had McDonald's Consolidated,
Yeah.
and there was something else next to that building.
Well, I think there was, what was there? Vegetable supplier,
Ah,
but I don't know what the name of it
but Tony Cervella wasn't there, was
Yeah.
he? With his
He
vegetable business.
might have been in there before. You'd have to ask Tony on something like that if he remembered.
Mhm.
But his dad might have been, yeah. And it moved to Cranbrook, I think, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, there was the customs house here. We had,
Oh,
you know, we had all kinds of offices here
Yeah,
that were moved to Nelson, to Cranbrook, and
yeah.
yeah, Fernie.
All
seemed-
CPR stuff went to
Yeah.
Nelson
Yeah.
and Cranbrook went to, well, I guess it's sort of the center with Creston and Invermere, and for what reason, I don't know.
Well, I think before each town seemed to have its own,
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden people started centralizing things, and
well, it's just like your healthcare now.
yeah.
You know, where do you, I mean, we used to handle our own. I mean, we always had 2 or 3 surgeons. And, you know, but now you have to go out of town and, you know, you're referred all over.
I always wondered how it was that our hospital could have had Dr. East, Dr. McRitchie, Dr.
LaRue.
Bear, Dr.
LaRue.
LaRue, and there was another one too. Who was that red-haired doctor that we had for the longest time?
Right,
Yeah. But anyway, you're right. There was at least 3 that did surgery,
yeah.
and Dr. Lazard was in was in Sparwood.
And he'd come in and do
Yeah,
surgery.
he would come in
Yeah.
because when I was 23, I ended up with gallbladder surgery.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember they split you open from here to here,
Yeah.
and I had Dr. Berg, Dr. LaRue, Dr. McRitchie, and Dr. Lazard.
Mm.
And it was a big, huge surgery at those days. They
Yeah.
cut you wide open, and I remember Dr. McRitchie saying to me, "You know, dear, we take all your intestines and we put them on the side of the table." I never knew if that was really real.
Oh, yeah, they have to go through it.
Yeah?
Well, I don't know.
I thought he was.
Well, now they do it differently.
Yeah,
so
but I
can't
thought
say,
he seemed serious, and I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yes, that's what we do to
Yeah.
get to it." Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think the training on doctors, and they did their own thing. You know, I mean, they didn't have it become certified surgeons. They were general practitioners, but because they were in an area,
They
they
did
did
it all?
surgery, and like with anesthesiology. You didn't have the specialties now that you have to have. And it all has to be recorded. Well, that changed to, you know, with the digital age, because
yeah.
everything's recorded in Vancouver and Victoria, and yeah.
Mm.
So, yeah.
But it's true. I mean, Fernie had a really good hospital
Mm-hmm.
that offered everything,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then all of a sudden it was like, no, you gotta go here, you gotta go there.
Yeah, well, of course that goes on all over now, because it's the specialties.
Yeah.
And I guess, you know, the others just don't train that way. And I guess they're under this, you know, I guess referring is the thing to do.
Yeah, but you know, not everybody can get out of town all the time.
It's so hard on
Yeah,
people.
and Fernie is still a little bit isolated,
Mhm,
you know, and you have to travel in and bad winter roads, and
Yeah,
so,
yeah. But, you know, what do? The government gives the equipment to the biggest hospital, and so you need the technology to do the tests, and yeah,
and really, if we didn't have citizen uprising,
yeah,
we would have totally lost our operating room,
yeah.
which would have been
Yeah.
really detrimental.
Well, when you think of it, that was a 62-bed hospital. It was pretty good size, eh?
Yeah,
And I think it's down now to about 18, eh?
isn't that truly amazing
Yeah.
that they did that?
But, you know, ran out of surgeons aren't going to come unless there's more than one surgeon because their lifestyle's changed. It's a different lifestyle for them too, eh?
I think I forgot to, I get so busy talking. Oh, I got 4. Okay. I get so busy talking that because I'm interested in what you're saying that I forget to look at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
But, you know, we were so lucky that we had Dr. Nally, who dug his heels in and stayed here regardless of what Cranbrook wanted. Otherwise, we definitely would have lost the operating room.
Oh yeah, I think Sparwood took quite a bad hit there.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Kimberly lost it completely.
Yeah.
Mind you, at least they're closer to Cranbrook than we are.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely a disadvantage for referrals. And the doctors have no choice because that's who's got the equipment. And so you have to go there to get it done.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Although I have heard that since Dr. Nally retired, they do have some visiting surgeons that do things that actually other people come here for.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
The surgeons from Cranbrook, there's a couple of them that come in and do the consultations and that. And I think if it's minor surgery, they might do it. But they can't really do major surgery and leave the hospital in the lurch. I mean, overnight, and that they have to be available.
Exactly, because if they're needed there too.
Yeah.
Interesting though that Fernie has no problems attracting doctors, but Cranbrook, which is supposed to be the center, gets them and loses them really quickly.
Yeah. Well, I think we have a pretty nice lifestyle here, you know?
Oh, it's the quality of life, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think doctors are like everybody else. They want their quality of life. It isn't a 24-hour thing.
Well, it used to be, if you think about it. I mean, when I was married, I had my first child at age 18, and Dr. East was my doctor. I recall calling him at home at all hours of the night and day, and it didn't seem like it was an intrusion. It was like you expect it. Now, I'd be absolutely aghast to think that you would call somebody at home and interrupt them. But they do have a better system now, though, don't they? Because they've got somebody at the hospital in emergency available all day long.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's stacked up.
yep.
Yeah, when you look back, you don't notice the changes when they're going through, but it's definitely, and some of it's for the better, and some of it's, well, you lose too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I guess with every plus there's a little minus too.
well, I think it's the listening skills that are the things that are not good, because people don't have time, you know.
Well, there's a lot of paperwork now, isn't there, to nursing?
There's a lot.
Yeah, a lot of paperwork, a lot of bookwork.
Yeah, you gotta, yeah. I mean, again, it's
Are we ready? Okay. So you said that changes seem to creep up without noticing them.
yeah.
And some of those changes is all the bookwork that nurses have to do
Yeah.
that you didn't have to do 40 years ago, for instance.
No. And I mean, if you ever go to court, which is, you know, they have so many court cases now that everything must be perfect on the bookwork too. So they're under the gun there too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, so it's taken away from the nursing part, right?
Yeah.
From the actual taking care of the
Bedside
patient.
nurse, yeah.
You know, and it's kind of sad, but today it's all about liability.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, all about liability.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, you have your procedures and policies, and if they don't follow them,
Mm-hmm.
then, yeah. And that sort of changed, you know, that crept in too. Again, with the technology, I think, because everything was printed out, eh?
Mm-hmm. How many years did you nurse altogether?
I think I nursed for about 30 years.
30.
I took a year off once when I had Sharon, but
Mhm.
yeah. So I saw lots change. Saw lots of people coming and going too.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
You didn't have just Sharon.
No, I have Dougie. He's a teacher in Mesna, and I had John David that was killed.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
In a vehicle accident, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. That was
Yeah.
quite a tragedy because he was so young, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That must have been hard.
Yeah.
Hard
It is.
hit.
Yeah.
Mm.
It changes your life. I'll tell you.
Oh, for sure. And I would think that even though at least 20 years have passed, right?
Never changes.
I was just going to say, I don't think that you ever lose that feeling of loss in your heart.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And then you went through a lot with Wilford,
Yeah.
you know.
Yes, he fell off the roof and had a brain injury. And, oh dear.
Is that what happened? He got a
Yeah.
brain injury.
Yeah.
Because
So
he
he-
was laid up for a long, long time.
Yeah, they didn't think he'd walk her. That's another thing, you know, like, they've come to diagnosis so fast, and but you have to fight with them too, Mary.
Mhm.
I think there's age discriminations in some of this stuff.
Oh boy,
When
I'm
I-
noticing it.
Yeah. When I was down the coast with Wilfred, I just used to have strong rehabs there. It was good, and they certainly had good people working there, but I could see age discrimination going on all the
Yeah,
time.
well, he couldn't have been that old. What would it have been, in his 50s?
92s. Yeah. Oh yeah, it was, Wilfred was injured in 92. Yeah.
Right, so
yeah.
he would have been in his 50s, right?
60s, just
60s?
turning, yeah.
So, really, that's still young.
No, but the
But-
type of injury he had, you're not going
It
to
was-
be productive.
Oh, okay, so it was
Yeah.
like...
Yeah.
But I thought he did improve.
Oh, he did well. Yeah, but it was.
Do you think it was because of the work you did with him?
Oh,
More than
yeah.
anything?
And the type of personality he has, you know. I mean, it was just but it's hard work
Mm-hmm.
to bring people around.
Was he ever able to walk?
Oh yeah,
He
yeah,
did.
Yeah, he walked. You know, but until the end, and then, but he had all the equipment that you needed too, because I was familiar with it, eh?
Mm-hmm.
And there again, people don't have time to spend with people to see what they need. But, you know, you can't do it for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Well, obviously, the fact that you were an experienced nurse
Yeah.
must have been
Oh, yeah.
very, very helpful
Oh
to
yeah,
him.
with everything,
Mhm.
because I just built onto my house, and I didn't hesitate on any equipment I needed.
Mhm.
You know, like beds and
Oh, and you understood more.
yeah,
Because,
lifts and
you know,
that, yeah.
somebody like me who with no
Yeah.
experience,
Yeah,
you know, it would have been a lot more difficult.
yeah. Well, you know, you have to have the training to do it. too.
Yeah.
I certainly feel sorry for some people that are in that position, but there's, you know,
How much longer did he live after that? And did that have
20
an impact?
years.
20 years?
22, yeah.
22?
Yeah.
That
mean-
must have had an impact on his longevity too, though,
Oh,
right?
I'm sure it's, yeah, yeah,
Regardless.
yeah.
But
Mm. Mm. It happens, you deal with it, don't you?
you have to,
Yeah.
because you can't lie down and give up. You know, you really can't. I mean, maybe some people do, but
Yeah,
life's got to go on.
you only harm yourself and your children around you.
Well, you have your other two children. You
Yeah.
can't give up and, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm. Yeah, so, I don't know. But like I say, to pinpoint things, I can sort of see where they're coming from, but, you can't do that much about it either, you know. I think Victoria that have the upper hand when they're telling us what they want to do with us.
Oh, yeah. I I did a lot of advocating for healthcare,
Yeah.
and behind the scenes that people didn't even know about. I wrote letters and I stirred up problems, and I really tried to fight for our hospital. And when Ron Popoff, who was working in Cranbrook, I don't know if you're familiar with his name.
Names are
Yeah, I don't know what his position was, but he was with Interior Health. But when he retired, he ran for council in Cranbrook, and I was asked by the CAO to be part of the training committee. And so we had a break, and I had one of my counselors with me, and we were talking, four of us were talking, and Ron looked at me and he goes, "You know now, Mary, now you're not the enemy anymore." And I said, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "You know." And I said, "Yes, I know. I was a thorn in their sides, but now that you're out of it, I'm okay." But I laughed because I said it never occurred to me that Interior Health would consider me the enemy.
Well,
You know, when you're
people
fighting them.
hate to be criticized, don't they? You know.
Well, I think in my own mind, I felt that they understood that what I was doing was fighting for the betterment of the people here, for the hospital, for the people that live here.
Yeah.
I did think that they would consider me the enemy, but I actually took that as a compliment.
Yeah.
And I think I said that to him. I said, "Thank you for the compliment."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they've got their job too.
Yeah, the last time I met with the chair of the board, and I can't remember his name, funny, now that I'm out of it, I'm forgetting names, and he's gone too. But I got invited to the meeting at the boardroom at the hospital, and I decided I would write down, because I had done my research, talked to different people, and I had all of these complaints about the hospital and what needed to be done. And actually my husband had been in the emergency operating room, and the light was so dark that the doctor could barely see, and I said, "What's wrong with this light?" And he goes, "Oh, it's always like this." And I thought, this is something I'm going to complain about, because how is this doctor supposed to do his work if he can't even see? Anyway, I had that on my list, but what I didn't realize at the time is that when you type everything up and you print it out and you give copies to everybody, it means a whole lot more than if you just speak about it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so I had 12 copies, I gave everybody a copy, and then I told them. The members of the committee looked stunned, the members of the board. And the chair said to me, "Where did you get all this information?" And I said, "I've lived here all my life. I have sources." And one of the things that I complained about was that there was insects. There was ants everywhere, and they were shocked that I knew these kind of things. But they did make some changes. So
Yes, it has to be in print.
yeah,
verbal.
but when it was in print, it was like whammo.
Yeah.
I didn't realize,
Yeah.
but I didn't realize it at the time. I was just thought I will let them all have a copy.
Yeah.
But after that, I learned a lesson, and I knew that anytime I complain about something, if I put it in print, they'll pay attention, because they have to.
Yeah, right from the top, that goes the,
But you must have had some experiences that you might be able to talk about without giving us names. Things that might have happened.
Well, I suppose, I think some of the experiences you had to, you like to put back in your mind. You know, the different car accidents and that are very, well, they're hard, because you know the people, and, you know, and so you like to, like graduation time, stuff like that.
Remember how for years, every graduation there was a death? For years and years.
I don't know what they do now,
Well, now they
Drinking
have,
was a big thing.
now they have the all-night parties that are supervised, and
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
you can't, once you leave, you can't come
But
back in.
does it do any good? They just go to the city and they get mixed up with all this drugs and that, so
Well,
you don't know.
thankfully though, knock on wood, there hasn't been any deaths for a long
For
time.
the night, yeah.
So these
Mm.
supervised activities have been helping.
Well, I don't know, when it comes to that, kids have to grow on their own too. I think they have to become responsible. And, you know, this opioid crisis is such a shame, and it seems that some of the kids get involved in that because they think they're not worthy. Well, you know.
A lot of bullying going around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What made you decide to finally retire?
Well, I had to because of it.
Oh,
I had
okay.
to be able to bring him home. I had to be home in there 24 hours, you know, which was fun. I mean, I was getting tired too, eh?
Well, it's got to be a really stressful job.
It is, because, you know, you have feelings too, and
Mm-hmm.
I can certainly remember some of the bad accidents and whatnot that's gone through there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something that you sort of like to stay away from because it's hard on you.
Yeah, it is.
Mm.
It's hard when you work around people that aren't well.
Yeah, and particularly when you know people.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
And in Fernie,
yeah, I knew them.
You
Yeah,
knew
yeah,
everybody.
Yeah,
I mean, everybody knew you, and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
knew everybody.
yeah. So your problems were more involved with the whole unit
Mm-hmm.
than if you just did your regular thing.
Do you like the way Fernie's changed?
Well, I think every city's changed. I think it's just like everything else. It just has to change to evolve.
Mm-hmm.
Would I like it to go back to my young age? Oh, yeah. But then I can't expect it either, because it's not going to. Some of it's not too bad, I guess. I don't know. It's not just Fernie, it's the whole government, isn't it? You know, how they design things. Yeah, I don't know. It's still a democracy, so all we can do is do what we have to do and vote and carry on the best we can.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you like the fast food places, like the extra shopping that we have?
Well, I still like Tony Furrow.
Yeah.
But, I mean, again, it was a personal touch, you know,
Right.
and it's just not there.
Mhm.
And they can't do it to make a living either, you know, I mean, they never...
Yeah.
Could you imagine Tony making a living in this day and age?
Well, no, because there's too much competition.
Yeah.
I
but-
mean, Lamar's tried when it was
Yeah.
Lamar's, right? Then
Yeah.
Hutchinson's have it, and
Yeah.
they couldn't
Yeah.
sustain.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, when Saraches had it, it was okay because we didn't have the box stores, as
Yeah,
they call
yeah.
them. But in
Yeah.
today's age, the little grocery shops are hard to.
Yeah, and so
compete.
you lose that personal touch.
Yeah.
And, I mean, people are gonna go where they can, they have to survive too, so they want what is
Mm-hmm.
a bit cheaper, eh?
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
Just a vicious circle,
Yeah, it is.
you know? And then people have so much ease to get out of town and shop. I mean, there's no loyalty.
Well, everybody's got vehicles now,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
when I was a kid growing up, we didn't have a vehicle,
No,
and
no.
not everybody had a vehicle either.
No.
Yeah,
no.
so it is different.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's more opportunities
Yeah.
to get out and
Yeah.
shop more. You're right, it is a vicious circle.
Yeah.
Mhm. But, Fernie was lovely back in the day, in the 50s, when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
I liked Fernie back then.
Yeah.
But I've always loved Fernie, it doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, I like the atmosphere myself. That's why I come back, because
Mhm.
the type of people that were here, and our terrain, and I like winter sports and
Yeah, do you do a lot of, do you ski or do any of those stuff?
no, not anymore. I skated, and,
But, yeah,
when the carnivals were on,
Yeah.
I used to be part of it, and and I curled and
we're
Yeah.
gonna change the
Oh.
battery. Let's talk about, because you mentioned something about the arena being down by the river.
yeah, right, that's right.
And
That was the first
you
one.
also said there was a curling club over there.
Yeah.
Now, you must have been too young to remember that there was a bridge from West Fernie to the road, to that side.
Oh yes, that was the big flood in '48.
You remember that bridge?
I remember when it flooded and took both
Yeah.
bridges in the east and west.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't remember details because I
Right.
was pretty young, but I remember when that was hit and the bridges washed out.
Wow.
Mm,
Because that was the shortcut from West Fernie to
yeah,
get to
yeah.
to get to town. Because as soon as you go over
Well,
that
that
bridge,
was the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the one out at going to Swarwood too. The bridge there. Yeah.
there was another bridge there.
Yeah, more down at this end.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Where some of the houses are. Yeah.
Mhm.
But I'm vague on it because I was pretty young. Yeah.
But still, you have that memory.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it certainly was a lot easier for people from West Fernie to be
Yeah.
able to get from there to town.
Yeah. Well, it was probably the highway going through that way on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would have been.
Mm.
Mind you, there wasn't as much traffic back in the day.
No. And the roads weren't plowed like they are now. No.
And you were remembering something else too. What was it that you were mentioning?
No.
Aside from the bridge.
Tradeswoods?
Yeah, Tradeswood.
Well, that was different. They'd have their puppet shows for us every Christmas.
Really?
Oh yeah, Mrs. Stewart.
Upstairs?
Yeah, Mrs. Stewart would put on a puppet show, and on our Christmas tree day, and of course they had Toyland upstairs too, so it was part of getting everybody in the building. Oh yeah, Mrs. Stewart used to run the puppets, we had a puppet show for
No
Christmas.
kidding.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. I don't know where any of the Stewarts are now, so I don't even know if they'd remember it, but
Well, the youngest Stewarts would be my age.
yeah.
So surely they must have memories.
Yeah.
But I don't know if any of them have ever come back.
I don't know, I've never, there's some families that have just disappeared.
Yeah, that were really important families in town, right?
Yeah.
Like the Mintons, you remember all the Mintons?
Yeah,
They had the drugstores
yeah.
and, you know.
Dixes,
The who?
the Dixes, you know, the.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dix, yeah,
They
yeah,
never,
yeah,
they've just seemed to, you
yeah.
know, drift away.
Mhm.
I've never come across them anyway.
Yeah,
I mean, people my age, like Carl Creamer and whatnot, I sort of
Yeah.
keep in contact with, but, you know, yeah.
and polo marks, there used to be polo marks.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, and the Bellas, all the Bellas, there's nobody,
No.
nobody here left,
Well,
and
I
then there
think
was like
Della-
14 children.
Yeah, Delphine is still alive in
In
Cranbrook.
Cranbrook,
In
right, but
Ballarat.
not in Fernie,
No,
yeah.
nobody's around her.
Margaret was here, but she passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
some
The Manties.
amantes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny at the spaghetti supper there. I was looking at the pictures on the wall.
Yeah, I did those for the Festa Italiana. I coordinated
Oh,
years
yeah.
ago, and Patrick actually made all those. I had small photos, 8x10s, and he made the big ones, the big posters.
Yeah, and I was trying to figure out, and I thought, Carpetta now, Frank would be, of course, the grandfather of, and I was trying to figure them out, but some of them were before my time, I don't remember, but certainly the names were sort of familiar, right?
Yeah,
And then they had a school picture there, but it was blurry, I couldn't make out people on it. I guess that's probably an old print.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And they were small, so
Yeah.
when they were made into those big posters,
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed the photo of my mom and dad.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it was in their. It was the day they got married, so
Oh, yeah.
it was in an oval, and it was in the hallway.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've never known, I just was in the hall and I was waiting and I got up and looked at them and I thought, that
Well,
was quite interesting.
Roseanne said, "How can we decorate the hall?" And I said, those photographs I donated to the museum, and I know they use them and reuse them, so they said,
Yeah.
"Sure, you can use them."
Yeah. Yeah, I looked at some of them, but some of my, it was before my time. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I do remember like all the older names, especially of the business people downtown.
Bossios.
Yeah, the Bossios, the Quails, the Rahals, there was a lot of families that were considered a little bit higher echelon.
Well, I guess there was class. Some people never.
Not so much anymore, thank God.
No, I don't think classes ever enters. If I think, who cares?
It's really nice, but remember, in the 50s and 60s, 70s, 80s, even the 90s, you knew who the mine managers were, and they were somebody. You knew who the mill managers were, and they were somebody.
Yeah.
You knew like who all the lawyers were, the doctors. Do you really know any of these people now?
And do you care, no?
And that's right, you don't care, it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
So there's a decided lack of respect for positions now.
Yeah, I don't, but they probably done it to themselves because they lord it over people. Well, when you lord over people, they find a way. Yeah. And, life changes. Some of them were lazy. And the ones that worked hard to get ahead, well, tell me how hard your dad worked.
Oh yeah, he worked night and day.
Yeah.
Weekends
And
too.
So your brother.
Yeah. We all learned my dad's work ethic.
Yeah.
I worked 24/7 when I was the mayor.
Yeah.
And it didn't bother me. I loved the work, but my dad taught us to be honest.
But that's
and
the way
to
we
be
were.
Considerate and to put in more than more than you have to.
Yeah.
And it's a great work ethic.
Yeah. It's the same today. You have some people that work hard and some that don't. Now, you got 10% of the population that is probably lazy, but the rest, they're not bad.
Yeah.
And then you got your ones that stand out too. You know who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where would you like to see Fernie go in the next 10 years?
I don't think I'll be seeing it, Mary.
Oh, come on, you'll be here in 10 years.
I don't know if I want to be. I don't know. I don't think.
Are you happy with the way it is now?
Well, really, from my position, I'm not that active in the community anymore, so, you sort of live in your own little world, which is probably not good, but I'm just not that active and I don't want to be anymore.
Well, you've had the time, and I think comes a time when everybody says, okay, it's time to relax and live my life.
Sometimes I shake my head at how to spend money, but I was brought up in a different era too.
Yeah.
I guess they'll get way. I guess can't put us all in jail, but I don't know. Yeah.
But you've lived through a time in Fernie where you've seen lots of changes.
Oh yeah.
And you're still here.
Yeah, and some are good, and some are bad, but I guess that's what we have to do is equal out. Yeah. She's got a lovely little place here, hasn't she?
Yeah, it's beautiful. This is her music room, and
what was it?
we've turned it into the studio.
That's good. She teaches, does she?
She
does or not?
She plays. She's still. I think maybe she does, and she takes lessons still, although she's very proficient.
Yeah. Have you ever been in that little cafe? It's just off the bridge there.
It's just closing down.
Is it closing down?
Yeah, I just saw a sign.
Oh.
I was in there, and there was a ton of stuff in there.
Oh, it was so.
It was
so
very
interesting.
eclectic, yeah. But I imagine that people just didn't even notice it there.
I have a feeling they didn't, and the food was lovely. I just was in it once. I noticed it, but I never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as I was going by there yesterday, I noticed a sign saying for rent. So I thought, oh, gee, they closed. I meant to go back, but just didn't happen.
Well, you can only do so much, but I thought it was most interesting with their instruments and whatnot.
Oh yeah, and the thing is, if you're working, then it's easy enough to go for lunch all the time. But if if you're not, if you're
Yeah.
at home,
Yeah,
then,
yeah,
you know, you're at home.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, we're finished.
Um,
5 more minutes.
your son built a beautiful house.
Yeah, it is lovely. It's
Yeah.
lovely. And his wife is, brother is a finishing carpenter, so he did the inside. Oh, it's nice.
So are they actually going to move to Fernie?
No, he has to work for another 5 or 6 years.
Mm-hmm. But eventually,
Well,
you think?
eventually, yeah. But he's another one that liked Fernie. He likes the terrain. He likes the, the atmosphere and the people.
Where does he live, you said?
In Medicine Hat.
Medicine Hat, so it's not too far.
No.
He can come home every weekend, and
Well, it is. He doesn't come
in the
home.
winter it's a little bit rough.
Well, yeah, he likes the lakes and that. But I think he'd like to retire here.
Mhm. What does he do?
He's a vice principal.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. But, he likes the lifestyle here. He likes the people. So I think
Mhm.
you'll see him come back.
Yeah. And you're here, his sister's here,
Yeah, well.
and his wife won't mind.
No, she likes it here too.
Wow.
They're both very good. They have no children. So, yeah, I don't know. Who knows with these young people, Mary? I don't. I just, whatever.
And you have Sharon here.
Yeah.
Sharon's great. She's
Yeah.
such a lovely, friendly woman.
Yeah, she's
And
good to me. Yeah.
Two grandsons. Where
Yeah.
are they?
One's in Lethbridge going to university and the other one's in Calgary.
Ah, good for them.
Yeah, so who knows what they're going to do here, The
Well-
world evolves.
Well, that's it, and everybody tries to do their best.
Yeah,
But I certainly appreciate you coming
Well,
and
I
talking
hope
about life.
I hope I've informed you. I don't know if I
Well,
have.
yeah,
but
we've talked about your memories and the way Fernie was,
Yeah.
and
type of nursing that was
Yeah.
then.
I think it's great. Years
Yeah.
from now, if people are listening, they'll say, well,
Yeah.
this is what Fernie was like, this is what they lived through, this is what they did.
Yeah.
That's what the goal of this
Yeah.
is, an educational.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, Mary.
thank
that
you
was
so
very
much.
good. Well,
Thank you for joining
some
us.
stuff